Hello everyone, Carrie Burchell here, bound and determined to help you rock your online meetings. I can't tell you how many times I felt myself, admittedly, or have heard other people complain about another online meeting. Even as I say that, I don't know if you heard it, but the dog sleeping under my desk just did a big, yeah, I just even say the word online meeting and we kind of imagine something that we don't want to experience. So, there are two things that we're going to talk about today when we think about online meetings. The first one is how to make them better. And the second is to consider the principle that we should really focus on the things that we can control in order to rock those online meetings. So let me bounce off something with you that came up today with a group that I work with. Great dynamic leaders in a city that I enjoy working with. I don't know about other consultants out there, but do you ever just fall in love with your clients? This group of leaders is really working through the challenges of environmental factors that they can't control as they serve the city that they live in, and how do we sort of stay focused on what we can control. And I'm going to relate it to meetings, so bear with me. So here's this concept here that we really have this like irritatingly small box of stuff that we can control. And you've probably, if you've looked at some of my other YouTube sites, seen this image before, but it's something that we don't keep at the forefront of our minds because we're constantly pelted with things that are out of our control. So we have this, pink box of stuff that we can control. This is stuff we influence. Doesn't always work out, but maybe we can influence it. And then this huge box, if my whiteboard was bigger, I would make it even bigger. This is stuff out of our control. When you think about it, where do we spend most of our time? Out of our control, right? So let's apply this concept to productive online meetings. So two considerations when we think about online meetings. The first one is, in our attempt to kind of manage the stuff out of our control, when leaders facilitate meetings, there's a tendency to push information at the group so that the group can take that information and go do, right? That does not ensure that there's sort of learning happening in the meeting so that people understand what they need to do. They learn the skills that they need to have in order to do whatever they need to do, and a space for questions, because leaders often, in the hurry, and being pelted by stuff they don't control, they just want to push information, wrap it up, and then go do. So let's think about this in a different context. So the spin of things out of our control, right? We often get just sort of caught up in this spin. We all do, right? Spinning plates, Tasmanian devil stuff, your hair's on fire all day long, you have a list a mile long on what you need to get accomplished tomorrow. So this kind of spin we all live and we get caught in. The work that I help clients do is to really slow down to go fast and leverage some of those interpersonal dynamics so that we make progress building trust and productivity within those teams so that we can go do. So what happens is we often come to a meeting and we push information at people so that they can just get it and go. Not slowing down enough to create that space for dialogue. What do you understand? How are you going to do that? What's the game plan? Really facilitating learning and understanding. And that's the facilitator's job, the leader of that meeting. And what happens when you create a learning environment is people have this dialogue and they get clarity down here on what they need to do. What happens often is people stay in this top spin and we never really get down to, think about it this way, what we can control. We don't get clear on what we can control, and as a result, we maybe focus on what we can influence possibly, can be helpful. And when we stay here at the very top, what happens is we spend a lot of time getting frustrated about the stuff out of our control. And all we've done in the meeting then is we've spun, people wrap up the meeting, and there's not a ton of clarity around what's the very concrete guaranteed to be successful thing that I can control as we advance this project, right? In our space of go, 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 things super fast, let's, spin, we tend to put a lot of energy in the stuff that's outside of our control, which then just creates burnout, frustration. Blah. I was saying to a friend today that last night, live in San Antonio, weather's been perfect, and I was outside with the dog right about the time that people start coming home, and there's a lot of parking on our street. And so I was out with the dog, and somebody comes home, and they chat with me, and then another, neighbor or two comes out, they park. Before we know it, there's like 6 or 8 people on the street chatting. And just organically, this conversation came up that in 2022, people are just feeling like an overall cloud or grind or feeling. Maybe you feel it too. I definitely admit to feeling it. And one person gave an example of somebody who works in a clinic, and because the person was just go, 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 like wasn't giving a break, wasn't sort of rejuvenating themselves, wasn't pacing the work, wasn't really focused on what they can control and spending lots of energy in the area of we can't control. Of course, what happened is a patient came in with a serum that needed to be injected. The nurse in the clinic took the serum, drew it, gave the injection, and then realized after, oh, I forgot to look at the expiration date on the medicine bottle. Now, thankfully, nothing catastrophic happened with the patient, but these kinds of errors happen when we go, go, go and focus on the stuff we can't control, right? Way out here, right? What can we control? And it's going to be different for all of us, right? And what we can do at work to advance the right work and not all of the work is part of the leader's responsibility to orchestrate and get clear on with the team. And how do you do that in online meetings? Right? We don't just drop in agenda items and push the material out at people. We bring up agenda items, ask what their understanding is, ask the implications, ask, what is within our control, more specifically, your control, and how do we move this piece forward? Because if all of us just worked on our little bit of the bottom of the spin, things would actually advance a lot faster than, what tends to happen with the clients that I work with is a lot of energy spent on the stuff out of our control. Super hard. Like, I appreciate what I'm promoting is super hard. The win out of that is that people feel more confident. They feel a little bit lighter. They feel more purposeful because they've gotten clarity on what that nugget is that they can control. Reality is there's going to be stuff you can't control today. And tomorrow, guess what? Surprise! There's going to be a boatload of stuff that you can't control tomorrow too. And there's always that mountain of things that are within reach. You can see it's a barrier and we can't control it. So there's going to be some of that grind. When we go into 2022, especially given the persistent nature of the pandemic and people's just overall morale and tempo, it is that much more important. You can't see me, I'm like bouncing my fist on my desk here. It's that much more important that we help people control what they can control. What's the antidote to building resilience? And well, the antidote to burnout is building resilience. And how do we build resilience? It's by really leveraging and managing what we can control, right? And right now in 2019, when the pandemic hit, wow, like splash of cold water, holy cow, I can't believe this. 2021 and 2020, let's like hunker down and we can do this. Did the pandemic even start in 19 or 20? My numbers might be off. But the first year was a splash of cold water. Second year was like hunker down, we're going to get through this. And the 2022 hope was, we'll wrap it up. And it's not looking like that so far, right? And so people are feeling downtrodden. Their engagement is lacking, turnover is an issue, short staffing everywhere, all of that stuff that we live, that's the out of our control stuff. We can help people get to what they can control, and that will help resilience. It will help retain staff. It will help advance the work that needs to happen, because we're not spending so much energy in the stuff out of our control. We're actually advancing the stuff that we can control. My name's Carrie Burchill. I would love to hear from you, some of your strategies to help people control what they can control. Part of what I offer in my consulting world is helping people leverage their leadership skills and manage online meetings effectively to help everyone in the meeting realize what they can control, get that synergy happening within the team, and make progress. Let's reach out. Love to hear from you. What are you doing to manage the stuff you can't control?